Okay, guten Morgen und Mazel Tov to Rabbi Bachman. Schnas Tzlache in alle Inyanim. Gashmis und Beruchnis nachs von den Kindern und mit Techmenuches an Nefesh Varchavas Adas.
Amen.
We're going to be doing today the Basi Legani Chafei. Within the time frame that we have, we're going to try a synopsis of what the Rebbe's getting at, where we're going to, what's the Nakuda of the Mamer. So what we'll do is first just bichlolus, where we up to in the Hemshech Tafshin Yud. Where does this Mamer fit in? What's the punchline? Where do we want to get to? And then we'll backtrack and we'll go through the structure of the Mamer, how the Mamer is getting there. Ba'ifun Klali, as we know, the Hemshech Basi Legani is split in two. There's the first half, which is discussing Dira B'Tachteinim. How do we make a Dira through taking the sheker of Elam Hazeh and turning it into keresh, through taking the behemoths and bringing them as karbonis or keteris. And this is Vasul Limigdash, which in Aveda is the Aveda of Iskafian is Hapche, taking world and making it a place for to be Mamshech the Shechina Lamata Baretz. That is all how Dira B'Tachteinim is done. Now we begin with the second half of the Hemshech. Who does it? And the answer is Tzivis Avaye, the Yid. There were years where the Rebbe said that this is not only coming to describe how or who has the capacity to do Dira B'Tachteinim, but it's really a deeper kavana over here. To bring out the Keich of a Yid as a union for itself. What is a Yid? Even beyond Dira B'Tachteinim. Just the power of a Yid. What does a Yid possess? So the answer is that a Yid has an Eitzer Elyon, which has been given to him, an Eitzer of Yerushalayim, in order to win this battle of winning the Inyani Sheker, the Nisyenis, Vasedoin Welt. And this Gufa is the Dira B'Tachteinim. But Pashtus, what is this Eitzer Elyon? So the way it's explained at the end of the Hemshech is the idea of Midas HaNetzach, that a person has a capacity of withstanding all nisyenis, just with the power of akshans, not seichel, not midas, not inspired, not moved, no depth, just standing his ground. Azeu nitandish, that is the keich of Midas HaNetzach which a Yid has. Now, this may seem like a very superficial keich because it doesn't have any seichel or any reichkeit or any inyan to it. But that gufa brings out the depth of it. It's coming from a place in nefesh which is beyond. This is the Netzach Yisrael leYishaker, this place of tenacity and insistence of just sticking it through even when it doesn't make sense. And this comes from the Lei Adamu. Now, this is what's being provided to a Yid, this kayach of surviving Golus, and not just that, aber like Dira B'Tachteinim is Iskafi v'is Hapche, even machen the Sheker von Elam Hazeh. Now, in order to explain how this Eitzer Elyon, this Midas HaNetzach was provided to a Yid, the Mamer goes on a tangent, l'cheira, and a side inyan, to explain what's the Eitzer L'mayl. So, if we're talking in Havana, in the Moshel, so he says the Moshel that a Melech has his own Eitzeris, which Yorosh Me'ah Avosov. So these Eitzeris are not just technically, he hasn't shared them with anyone. They are by definition secret. Why? Because they are personal. In other words, in Dem Bashtet the Melucha, this is like the Melucha itself. It's not something to share. It's not something to spend. It's not something even to show, like the Achashverosh would show off his richness on a special occasion in order to posture, in order to show power, in order to maybe gain chen b'nei asarim. This is deeper than that. It can't be spent. It can't be used. Why? Because it's him. In other words, this is the Melucha itself. like the royal treasures or the crown jewels are, are not something which is, as a melech, he has the right to possess. But it works the opposite. It's as if when you are Yerush, these Oitzeres, or you get these crown jewels, in them get Bashtein the Melucha. It's like the physical space in Elam Hazeh, something you could grab in your hands, which this is the Melucha. And that's the way the crowning works, that when the crown is placed on your head, so now you are the Melech. So when you are Yerush these Oitzeres, this is you. So this is the very Melucha. So obviously this can't be used for anything else. Adrabah, everything is used for this purpose. The Chiddush over here is that these secret, or let's call it personal, Atzmi's Dike in Yonim, which he has, he spends in order to win the war. Was heißt? Maila means that the Eibishter has an Oitzer Elyon, a part of him, which is be'etzem removed. It's be'etzem just, it's the way he is with himself. It doesn't make sense that this should be nizgale or shared with the Bria. Certainly not spent on Nivroim. But over here we have this Chiddush that even of Bizbus, he's sharing this Atzmi's Tike'inyan with the Nivroim in order, through the Pekidei Achal, gives the Talanche Achal, in order that they should win the war. This brings out how important the war is for the Eibishter, but it also brings out how empowered we are as Yidden in Tzivus Havaya to win this war. We've been given something which is be'en areich to the Bria Bichlal in order to win this war. What's bepashtus? If you'll just read the Hemshech in Yanim, what's bepashtus the Inyan over here? That the reason why Midas HaNetzach is so powerful is because it's taka coming from this same place of higher than Giluy. It's not a chisaron in Midas HaNetzach, the fact that it doesn't make sense or it doesn't have any emotion or any inyan of tziyur or any giluyim. Fakert. The reason it's like that, the way is in nefesh, it's an eifin of nishar behelami, it's helam atzmi, it remains in this space of just being be'etzem, behelam, is because it's coming from this place in the Eibishter, which is be'etzem behelam. So because it's by the Eibishter, in an eifin of just him himself, that's why it comes to us in a way that we could be, so to speak, connected with us ourselves, with the very eye, ki lo yadamu, and that's the kayach of winning the battle. Good. This is, in short, the nukuda of the Hemshech Tafshin Yud. Now, from Sif Yud Beis till Sif Tezayin, really Yud Zayin, we go into Bipratis. What does it mean that the Eibishter has this inyan of Ha'Etzerel? Was ist das der Sache? Now, Kumuven, in order to understand this Ha'Etzerel, there's going to be stages. We're going to be going through a trip through Ein Sof to understand deeper and deeper, or higher and higher in Ein Sof, to be able to come to Hakara in what is this atzmiistic place of the Ha'Etzerel. Now, over here, it's important to understand that different years in Basi Legani, the Rabbi learned different pshat. Sometimes the Rabbi learned that the Ha'Etzerel is even higher than the Lamaila and in Kates, and higher than the Lamata and in Tachlis. This is the Etzem of the Eibishter himself. This year, it's quite clear that the Rebbe is learning that the idea of the Ha'Etzerel is the Lamaila and in Kates. So that's just, before we set out, this is what we're going to be discussing. Figuring out this madrega of Lamaila and in Kates, Lamaila.
Can I ask one question? In Chav Pei, the Rebbe speaks about Eitzer of Yerushalayim. It's an interesting thing, and someone connects it to it. You picked up on that?
So this Eitzer of Yerushalayim
in Memhei.
Yeah, so this Eitzer of Yerushalayim is Bapashas. I'm going back to the Hemshech Basi Legani Tafshin Yud. This is the word Eitzer of Yerushalayim. Now, what does it mean that a Yid has a Eitzer of Yerushalayim? Is that he has this kayach of bringing out this atzmistic place, which is the sibur for Yerushalayim. Bapashas, what's a Yerushalayim? as er sehr nicht anders. He's betmimus, halach lefanim betmimus, he's ernst, he doesn't ask any questions, he just goes, business off. That's the yesod of Yiras Shamayim. That doesn't have to make sense, but this is the way I behave. So this is this midas hanetzach. Now, just to be mashlim, I don't want to get too complicated. The end of the Hemshech Tavshin Yud, he says, not only through the Eitzer Elyon do we have this Aved of midas hanetzach, but it also works the opposite. Through the midas hanetzach, we megala namshich the Eitzer Lamayla. So there's two inyanim over here. But Pashas, what we're learning is how we're being empowered by the Eitzer Elyon to do our work. Okay. Now, the Rebbe says in Tavshin Chafei that in order to understand what's this Eitzer and what's the Vart of Lamaila in Ketz, which the Rebbe is saying is the Inyan Eitzer, we first have to be makdim what's learned in what we learn in the first three prakim in this Yud Beit, Yud Gimel, Yud Dalet, to be able to appreciate what's the Vart of Lamaila in Ketz. So first we have to learn what's Lamata in Tachlis and then what's Lamaila in Ketz. In earlier years, the Rebbe even said clearly that even though the Lashon Azayar is Lamaila din Ketz, Lamata din Tachlis, over here we change the Seder. First we do Lamata din Tachlis in order to bring out the Maila, the Hafla of Lamaila din Ketz. It's actually Geschmack. If you listen to the tape, you hear the Rebbe says a word, not just that you have to learn the earlier prakim, which is Perik Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, Yud Dalet, but the Rebbe legt zu avart. It's not in the Hanocha, but you hear clearly the Rebbe says Ubiurim, which means that the Rebbe is expecting that we should learn the Biurim to say Tashin Chav Beis, Chav Gimel, Chav Dalet in order to understand what's going on in Tashin Chav. So let's first.
Yes, you need to remind me. How did we explain Eitzer Elyon before? In the other, you said in the other Mamorim, the Rebbe said it was
it's higher than Lamaila din Ketz. You have it's the etzem itself. Over here we're saying it's the Vart of Lamaila din Ketz.
Okay.
Okay. So even though we did this last year, and I'm not going to go into again bariches with all the mashalim, but just for clarity, where we're going over here. There's a zayar which says it's actually it's two zayars together. There isn't one lashon zayar like this, but it's always brought in Chassidus as the zayar. What is the Eibishter? Ein Sof is Lamaila din Ketz or Lamata din Tachlis. Now, what does this mean? There are places in Chassidus which understand it to mean like this. Lamaila din Ketz is that the Eibishter, so to speak, is Lamaila. The Eibishter is removed betzim from the world. But he also has Lamata din Tachlis, the capacity to create the world. That's the Bekeich HaGadol. The Eibishter has this keich to create, which is keich hagvul, keich to have a yachas to the world. In Tavshin Yud, that says in Basi Legani, throughout the Basi Leganis, we're learning a different pshat in Lamaila din Ketz Lamata din Tachlis. We're saying that the Eibishter has, let's start with Lamata din Tachlis, not just the capacity to create worlds, but the Eibishter also, so to speak, comes into the world. He shares himself with the world. Was heißt? The pastors, the Eibishter is Ein Sof, so he's removed from the world. The Im Kol Zeh, this Ein Sof itself, the Eibishter, kilo, so to speak, leaves the space of Ein Sof and comes into La'achara Tzimtzum and is present in this world. And that's what it means Lamata din Tachlis. So he's not only a shirish for the world in Ein Sof, he's actually, Ein Sof is brought into the world. We say Kama Pratim. He say the Ein Sof is here. You could see an expression of Ein Sof. You see the Bligvul Nivroim. You could see the Bligvul Spirits. You see the spirits themselves on the Eifen of Ein Ketz, or that even the spirits of Atzilus having themselves a capacity of Bligvul. The Nivroim or Marabu Masecha, Magadlu Masecha. That's all an expression of Ein Sof. Then you have even more than that. The actual Ein Sof comes into the world. He comes in a form of Chayis. So you see Chayis in this world, even Pashat in this physical world. Everything is Chay. You look at a tree, you see in the tree Chayis. This Chayis is an expression of Ein Sof of the Eibishter. And not only is it an expression of Ein Sof, but like his Madish in the Mamer, it's the full import of Ein Sof, because it remains It retains its pshitas.
together?
It remains in its full eifon pshitas, the way it is. In sof lamaila, that's the way it's coming over here lamata. That's the pella of Erin Sof, the way it's coming over here lamata. That's the chiddush. We don't see it. Good. We don't see that the chayes is a liki, and we don't see that the chayes aliki is Ein Sof. But be'emes, the Eibishter is found over here, present in every space, the way he is, his Ein Sof. Which is kamoven a paladik avart, and it's a chiddush over here to learn like this, the pshat in lamata adin tachlis. Just to clarify, we went through this last year, but just to sharpen the nekudah. If you have a relationship of two people, one way of saying it is that wherever you think that my relationship begins only with my chitzenis. The emes is that in the deepest place in me, there's no madrege in me where you don't exist. And that's the way I would understand the pashtus when I say this lashon, that Ein Sof has in it the lamata adin tachlis. I'm saying even Ein Sof, the Eibishter as the Eibishter, not the Eibishter the way he's become beire, not the way the Eibishter is afikas asar tikun lan hoga bein almin, the Eibishter the way the Eibishter is running the world. The Eibishter, the way he is in his own space, over there also he has a mocker for world. But over here we're saying a very different idea, and probably a more radical idea. Not just there's no place in the Eibishter where the Nivra is not found, but fakir, there's no place in the Nivra where the Eibishter is not found. And the Eibishter as the Eibishter. So you would say, good, the Eibishter, as far as he's concerned, the Nivra. But what's the Nivra? The highest part of the Nivra. The Nivra, the way has value mitzad the Eibishter. But every nidrikait in the Nivra, every shtus in the Nivra, every sheker of the klippus in the Nivra, over there the Eibishter is also found. So that's the chiddush that we're saying here. Ein Sof, as he is Ein Sof, I am found within you. And that's the lashon kila yidach mimenu nidach, and ve'yavorech yanke v'spare, and he's found in the lowest of the low, the way he is. Wherever the lowest place you could be, in your most nourished place, I am there with you. That's the chiddush of Ein Sof is Mamer lamata adin tachlis. Now, the chiddush of our Mamer is that just like the Eibishter is lamata adin tachlis, likewise he's also lamayla adin ketz. Was heißt? The same Eibishter who is nimtza over here lamata mata adin tachlis, I am present, I'm with you, he's also hidden. I'm also here in the Eifen of Hester. Was heißt? The fact that there is Hester in the world, that's also coming from Ein Sof. And that's the chiddush of Kishem. The Ein Sof is nimtza lamata adin tachlis. Likewise, Ein Sof is also over here present in the Eifen of Lamayla adin ketz. Now, let's just clarify what's the vart over here. La'achre, that I'm being told that the Eibishter is with me on my journey, wherever I am, even when I make a mistake, even in the my most lowest of places. What I'm really saying is that don't look at the Hester, look beyond it. I'm being told that the experience which I'm experiencing over here is a sheker. Really, kila yidach mimenu nidach. Or like we're being told about the chayes aliki, which is in the nivra. Look at the nivra. Don't see the nivra. See the chayes aliki in it. You only see its chayes, you don't see its aliki. That's the problem with your glasses. If you would see the dvar avaya, and you would understand that the dvar avaya is chayes aliki, which is dovah k'neir sof, then you would be able to find the Eibishter the way he is present with us at every stage and in every space. Aber sof, we have a tiny. The Hester itself is a Hester. So in the experience of Hester, what are you telling me? No, ignore that. It's not true. The Vernish is spol from the Hester. The Eibishter is found beyond the Hester. So in a way, I'm telling the Eibishter, you're not helping me in my problem. You're telling me to leave the problem. But as a Hester, which is what I'm experiencing, you're not there with me. The Eibishter is telling us the way things are from his perspective, which is the truth. It's very good. But that's not my story. I am experiencing a Hester. Now, by telling me that my Hester is a mistake, and my Hester is just man-made, and it's just the way we're looking at things, that's not very encouraging. Because Lapoil, this is my frustration. In the way the Frierdiker Rebbe says it in the Mamer, when a person learns Chassidus, so he has a meach gas. He has a grubber cup. So he's trying to understand that the chayis is not just chayis, it's chayis aliki. Why doesn't he see that it's chayis aliki? It's a grubber cup. So what kind of statement is this that when you tell me that, the reason you don't see it's chayis aliki is just because you've got a thick head? Okay, but I do have a thick head. So telling me kilo yidach mimenu nidach and telling me all of these inyanim that the Eibishter ima yanechi betzara, you're really with me. That's all very nice the way the way you are looking at this story. I am experiencing a Hester. So in a way, you're not really with me. You're not with me in the Hester story. Let me ask you like this: are you a Hester? Do you experience the frustration of being Hester? And that's the chiddush of our Mamer. That the Eibishter says, I am l'mayla adin ketz. I also have this inyan of Hester. And in fact, the reason why you have Hester, the Hester that you're experiencing, is also me. And it's the way I am communicating with you. I have two ways of communicating with you. I could be present with you, and I could be not present with you. And that gufa is also me. And that's the taich when a Yid says, Ochin ato kel mistater. The taich is in the Mamer, Kel is always a Shem Chesed, a Shem of Gili. Chesed Kel Kol HaYom. Yom is Gili, Chesed is Gili. And when a person there hears that the Eibishter is equally present, just like he is Behester, he is also, just like he is when he is an Inyan of Gili, that's the Eibishter. Likewise, when he's Behester, he's also here. Elamai, he's here in a different Eifel. So the Hester itself is also an experience the way the Eibishter is talking to me. He's connecting with me in a different way. The Yid says, Ochin ato kel mistater. Ochin, take, ato, you, the very Eibishter, is the kel and mistater. You are the tzai kel, which is gilu, and tzai, you're the Hester. You're the makar for both. And in both of them, I see the ato. So, l'sikum, what's the vart, the pashtus, the way I would learn it in Perek Tezvav, is that the Eibishter is found equally in the Hester and in the Gili, just like he's Lamata Mata Adin Tachlis, so too he has this capacity of Hester, which is Lamayla Mayla Adin Ketz. Adkan is the Nekuda of Perek Tezvav. Is this making sense? Rabbi Reichik, no tainas. Okay.
Can you just explain one more time this Hester by the Eibishter? Not understanding.
I mean, this is going to be the sugya in our Mamer. What does it mean? But we'll just say the words again.
That was very deep.
This is what we're going to have to unpack. The nekuda is that the Eibishter has within himself a inyan of L'mayla din ketz. L'mayla means that he's behela machar helam, or be'ili achar ili. He is, so to speak, removing himself. He has a koyach to compress or to withdraw himself, and that itself is a tchune in the Ein Sof. The Eibishter has this tchune in Ein Sof, which is now being shared with us when we get stuck, when we don't see the Eibishter. The way the Rebbe is going to learn Pshat, this gufa is the Eitzer Elyon. This is, in other words, the Eibush is coming to us in this form of not being here. And that gufa is a kind of Eitzer. Okay, well, obviously this has to be explained, and in Tavshin Chafei, the Rebbe changes the whole book on the Pshat and Perek Tezvav, and let's just
So
say
the
it's the
Hester is not
Nekuda.
just the Gabenu, the Hester is in Erin Saf Gufa.
Atase, yeah, it's an Inyan in Erin Sof, the idea of
saying
Hester.
that the Hester gives us a connection to the Eibishter in a way that's greater than the Gilui, is what we're saying over here, correct?
Oh, so you just added a word. I just want to be careful. It's as great as the Gili. Ochin Atakim started by pastures in the Friedrich Rebbe's Mamer is it's as great as Gili. The Eibush has a right arm and a left arm, and both of them are expressions of him. These are two ways of taking the Eibushter. You could find the Eibushter in the Hester, what says hiding in the Hester, which is we're telling you overcome the Hester and see him the way he is present, or you could find the Eibushter as a Hester, the Hester itself. You don't need to
How is this
overcome.
different? How is this different than Shar Yichud or Gvav Zayin?
What says the union of
Alter
Gvul?
Yeah, meaning the Gvul, meaning they're explaining that the Gvul is the Yichud, meaning the Gvul is another kind of Gili of the Eibusher.
So in a way, it's similar. Yeah, it's using the same Yesodis. Differences over here, what we're saying is that when you're seeing this Hester, you're connecting with him. It's the way the Eibush is giving you himself. It's not just that it's coming because of him. But Pashas and Sharich and Muna always saying is that the fact the Eibush is is coming because the Eibush has this power to withdraw. Over here, the Eibush is, over here, what we're saying is the Eibush is sharing his withdrawal with us. So when I experience Hester, I'm experiencing a Lakus on a certain level. Now, the Chiddush in Tavshin Chafei is going to be that not only is this Inyan of Hester equal to the Inyan of Gilui, but Achin Ata Kel Mistater is even higher. So the Inyan of Hester is deeper in Erin Sof than the Inyan of Gilui is. That's going to be the Chiddush the way it is in Tavshin Chafei. Okay.
Sorry, a greater Gilui or a greater Yichud?
It's deeper in him.
And
It's more
therefore
him.
it connects
It's more
deeper with
Ata.
us.
The power of Hester is greater than the power of Gilui.
So, Gilo Neymar, what we're saying is that, let's come back to the Eitzer. The Eibishter is sharing with us his very self. That was the idea of Eitzer Alien. Yeah, She'atzra Aveisav, meaning it's something which doesn't make sense that I could share. So when we say that the Eibishter shares with us his Lamata Adin Tachlis, even though it's Be'etzim Erin Sof, which is removed from the world's Le'ya Yamakim La'amidas Ha'elamis, Sof, he's sharing with us Gilui. His very self, which is the idea of Hester, it's Be'etzim removed. And as we're going to explain, this comes from the Ata, from Yichalte Shalei Lahar, which is a way of taking Atzmus. This Inyan really doesn't belong here. It's King Klep that in our world, we should be able to connect to this. And this, the Eibush is also sharing with us. He's giving us this. So his mamish being mevazviz his eitzeres. Every part of him, so to speak, he's giving us in order to win this battle. It's interesting. There's a unique lashon in this year's Mamer. It says that when a melech wants to win the war, so it's negayah to him beyoser or beyoser. It's very, very negayah to him, and therefore he's mevazviz the eitzeres. So it seems like the Rebbe was madgish this lashon that. Because in the Nimshal it's like that. It's not just that it's very negeya to him, then maybe he would give only the Lamata Adin Tachlis. But because it's very, very negeya, so it's a deeper place in him, so therefore he's giving also the Lamaila Adin Ketz. Perhaps. It's an interesting Dir Kaloshin, which you could hear on the tape. Okay. This is just
can I ask you this
the table. Yeah.
For the clarification. So you're saying that the Bizbas Eitzes is the Keach HaHelam. Is that am I understanding correctly?
Yes.
So, is there a concept in the business of Eitzers that it comes kilu? as the desire for that netzach and the midas hanetzach, when necessary, at least in the mashal, there's the bizbas ha'etzeres, which I guess on some level conceptually is connected dafka, bizman achron shagolos and all that. But the kerech elam is already at the beginning of the whole enterprise, almost lefnei tzimtzum. He said the way the Rabbi is machadish here, that concept already exists. So is that he says von Anfang, Seif Masach Shevat Chila, like that business of ISIS already happens then, or is that business of ISIS connected dafka with now? I mean, it seems that all along, even lefnei tzimtzum, there's that kerech elam.
Oh, very good, very good. So we're really coming to the end of the Mamer now, but it's not a problem because this is afterwards we'll back up and we'll see how our Mamer brings us there. But let's bring out what's the Nakuda, where we're getting to. But Pashtos, the deeper the Helam, which there is over here, the worse the Helam, which there is over here in our world, it's coming from a deeper place in the Eibishter. And that's the Lashon of the Mamer, Be'ilu Yacharili. So it's L'mayla Adinketz, because more Helamus Lamata, an expression of higher Helam Lamayla. Now, Alibidamis, this always existed in the Eir. That's going to be the discussion, why the Eir has this inyan. But this is the idea that Eir in Sof Be'etzem has the capacity of Helam. Since Eir in Sof has this inyan, so the closer Eir in Sof, so to speak, is getting to Moir, is returning to its source, it has more and more Helam. So all of these madregas always existed. The Chiddush is, are they being expressed over here Lamata? Now, a few generations ago, people did not have such thick heads. So there wasn't so much Hester. A person would be able to learn Chassidus and he would understand and he would be able to see the Chayes Eliki, which is in the Nivra. So they weren't Zeiche to so much Hester. As we progressed, Dafke and Deira Shvi, and B'zeh Gufa Mistame with Zeiche and Tafshin Pei, the even deeper Hesterim, the more Hester there is, we're saying it's coming from a higher union of Hester Lamaila. So only this year, and maybe even compared to last year, were we zeiche to azaz sort Lamaila Adin Ketz? 100%. The more Hester, that's exactly what we're saying.
And then what's the Mata Adin Tachlis? I mean, at some point that has to come to an end, no?
No, so the Mata Adin Tachlis is that within every Hester, you could alibe de emes gefindt sich dorten insaf. So the truth is that there's no corner in this world, there's no molecule that you could find which you don't, if you won't open it up, you won't be able to see over the Chayes Aliki. So there's no inyan which you're not going to be able to see over the Be'emes Alikus. So Chnei Memes, on the one hand, everything Be'emes also has an inyan of Gili within it. But over here, this year we're celebrating the Hester. We're finding the way in every inyan of Hester, Be'etzem it's an inyan, it's Lamayla Dinketz.
And the Hester is only Lagaba us. Lagaba the Abish there, that's on some level you're saying it's a Gili as well.
No. But the Abish is also Hester. That's exactly the point. Who decided that the Abish is Mugdir and Giluyim? The Abish that possesses this inyan of Hester, and that's why he's sharing with us. That's going to be mamish the point of the Mamer. But the Abish is not, if it would be the Abish it's Giluyim, so weiter. So it's a kind of Lamat Adin Tachlis. It's the way the Abish sees Giluyim. Elamai, we're blind to it. Okay, we're saying no. In simple words, this Nakud of this Mamer is very validating. We're telling you, don't think that your Hester is your mistake. You've been given this Hester.
Right, but I'm saying when you think of Hester as an absence, it's Lagaba us. It's if you want to call it Hamshachas or Giluyim, it's the way Eibishter relates to us in our place, not from a place of void. It's that Melechatchila is the nature of that connection, of the relationship. It's not coming from a place of absence. It's the koyach. It's the koyach hel. The Eibishter has a koyach of Gilui, koyach helem. That qualitatively is the chiluk between the helem and the Gilui, the way that we understand it, but look at the Eibishter, it's als ein Zach. Eibishter is kilu giving himself in one eif and giving himself in another eif.
Oh, very good. So this is where we're going to get to in the Mamer, that it's that both Yichalti Lahar and Yichalti Shalei Lahar are l'chera one in. Yeah, and the Mamer over here in Tavshach Chafei wants to demonstrate is that in a way it's more him in the Eifon of Hester than the Eifon of Gilui. But Pashtus, the way you're saying it is very good. That's the way the Friedrich Rebbe says it. Hester and Gilui, Achin Ata Kel Mistater, the Kel, which is Gilui, and this Mistater, which is Hester, is both Ata. Shneim B'Shaveh. And really, it's like you say, it's just two sides of the same coin. But in our experience, it's different. The Chiddush over here is going to be that no. Good, we're going to have to get there until we get to the Yicholta Shalei Lahoi.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, let's back up and try and understand, how does this work? In other words, before we come to this vote, that over here in our experience, we're experiencing Inyan of Hester, and really it's an Inyan Atzmi by the Eibishter. Why should Ein Sof have an Inyan of Hester? It's a political word. This doesn't make sense. What says it? By definition, is Gilui. That's what means. Should have an Inyan of not Gilui? Now, you could argue that Moir, the Eibishter himself, is not Mugdar Binyan Agilui. And Bepashtus, that's the way I would understand the Tzimtzum. The Tzimtzum is that the Eibishter is in charge, not just in charge. The Eibishter is the mocker of everything. So when the Eibishter dictates that there should be Gilui or there shouldn't be Gilui, that's the way it's going to work. So why was there a Tzimtzum? Siluk Eir Agad Lalatzad, who was Masalik? The Moir. Because the Moir could be present in a way not of Gilui. And in fact, that's what gave the Mokim for Klyne, the Inyan of Gvul, because the Moir came out. Over here, we're going to be saying a new word, that the Eir itself has this Inyan of not being. Eir in Sof has a Maila of La Maila Adin Ketz. Why should Eir be in a way of not being? Nochmer. The Lashon continues, not just Helam Acher Helam, Be'ili Acher Ili. He says, Behedera Eir, Behedera Gilui. So Hedera Eir and Hedera Gilui, the way the Rebbe is going to explain is that Eir in Sof has the capacity to not be, which means to withdraw, which is the Tzimtzum. Eir in Sof withdraws. Or Nachmer, even when the Eir returns. So the Eir is now, Chazer V'Eir, the Eir is coming to be Meir in the world. So the Eir that we do have, so L'cheira over here, he is present. Even then, he's talking not Hedera Eir, but he's Hedera Gilui. He could be in a way that he's not accessed, which is Bepashtos, the idea of Chayes, like we see. Could be in an Eifon of Heder. Kilo Neymar, wants to not be. What does that mean? Zweitens, not just that wants to not be, but even where is, he's in a way of Heder Agil. Both these in Yonim we need to understand. Now it's just kedai to point out these lashonis over here of Ili Acher Ili, Heder Eir Heder Agilui, is really a sophist of the Friedrich Rebbe. Says in the Rebbe Rashab's Mamer, which this is Meyusadon, it just said Behelam Acher Helam Beheder Ha'ir Va'agili. Friedrich Rebbe added Be'ili Acher Ili, and then took the words Beheder Ha'ir Va'agili and separated it into two, Beheder Ha'ir Beheder Agili. So it's very geschmack to see over here how the Rebbe stellt sich pashet on the lashonis of the Friedrich Rebbe, which is the chidushim of the Friedrich Rebbe really, and this is the yesod of the whole Mamer to understand what are these stages. So the way we're going to do this, I think just for clarity, is I want to start with the Torah of the Alter Rebbe, which is the idea of Amoru Beis Galus. Then we're going to get back to understanding Heder Eir Heder Agilui, and then we'll go ala Seder, the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid, and then we're going to see how in the Mittler Rebbe and the Tzemach Tzedek we're going to learn this deeper, and then we're going to move to the punchline of the Maimon, the Rebbe Marash and the Rebbe Rashab, which is a new inyan, the word of Achan Atakil Mistater. So generally speaking, just for clarity, the Maimer, I would say, splits into two. There's till the Tzemach Tzedek, V'ad Bichlal, which is all this idea of Heder Eir Heder Agili, all in different forms. Every Torah is adding a new knetch to bring us to this place to understand what's Heder Eir Heder Agili. And then there's the Chiddush of the Maimer, Achin Atakil Mistater, where the Rebbe is learning it, which is the Marash, Be'ikar, the Rebbe Rashab, this word of how Helem is even deeper in the Eibishter then Gilui, that's the Nekudas HaChiddush. And as we're going to see, all of this is captured bekitzer in the Teres Abal Shem Tov. So the way this Mamer is going to be built is there's a Teres Abal Shem Tov, which has two parts. First half of the Mamer we're explaining the first half of Teres Abal Shem Tov, and then we're going to see the Eimek of Teres Abal Shem Tov, the second Shlav, and this is how we're going to conclude the Mamer. And this is the Yitzhak. Okay, but first let's just take out this idea of Hamoru Beis Galus, because it's the most surprising part of the Mamer. It's the Rebbe suddenly brings the Alter Rebbe, which the Friedrich Rebbe didn't mention, and it looks like Beshitchis, it looks like Mamish Azaitik Ezach, and Lecheire, we could suggest that this is the Yisod of the Mamer, and on this Yisod it's going to be the whole flow. So let's stop for a moment. We'll discuss Amor Beis Galus, then we'll come back to Eir. Amor Beis Galus is a Yesodis Dikatera of the Alter Rebbe in Pashas Vayera, where the Alter Rebbe says something very radical. We know the Alter Rebbe is mechalek between Eir and Moir. Was heißt? Before the Alter Rebbe, the Pashtus, Eir and Sof means Hashem, means the Eibishter. The Alter Rebbe came and said, no, Eir and Sof is not the Eibishter. The Eibishter is Ein Letchil. Eir and Sof is the expression of the Eibishter. So we made a surgical separation between an existence and the way it exists. The fact that it's beginning, the visibility of something, which is a very dakustik chiluk. But once we understand that, so we're going to say, Eir is Gilui. The Eibishter is not, it doesn't exist in some kind of way. It's not a form of existence. He just is. The way this thing is, saying that Hulavadu Veins Alosei, and Muvade, and Shlemusa de Kule, and alle Milas, which you're going to say about the Eibishter, these are all the way he exists. But that he exists, that's him himself. That's the Moir. So we're mechalik between the Moir and the Eir. Now, that he exists has no expression. Or let's say better, the fact that he's expressed is Bechlal not him. Said the Alter Rebbe, a Meridike Wort. If so, Hamoir hu beis galus. This, the fact of his existence, even a child could understand. And look, ask a child, is there Hashem? He'll say yes. So he may not understand the Reichkeit, he won't understand Hulavadu and Zalosei, he won't understand the Shlemusa de Kule, but he'll know one thing, that he exists. Now in this, he's absolutely correct. This is the Eibishter. He just exists. There's nothing else to say. Let's say it a bit better. Fragen Akashe, what do you mean? You're telling a child that he exists. If I would have told my child, I tell the child this is a table, he says table. You could say this about anything. I told my child that the Eibishter exists. What does it mean to say? What do we mean to say that the child knows instinctively that Hashem exists? The answer is because everything that I tell a child, everything that he understands, he's really only understanding on a superficial level. And we could even argue that he doesn't know it. If I tell a child, a 2-year-old, this is table, he's just repeating a word. He doesn't know what table is. A table, a surface to put things on, a worth, a design, a value, a weight, a shape. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know the concept of table. If I would have told him this is table, this is chair, I would have told him faket. These are just words. So could I say that he knows table? Komm auf das nicht. Only if he has some level of comprehension does he know it. There's no such thing as yediyah without comprehension. What's the chiddush of Hamoru Beis Galus? The Eibishter himself, not the Eir. There's taken nothing more to know. There is no gili. There's nothing to comprehend. He's not missing anything. When the child says he exists, in what way, in was besteht, there's nothing to add. There's nothing to add. That's all Eir. The Reichkeit, the Hafloah, that's all Eir. So he himself just exists. So when the child says, Eibishter, and he doesn't mean anything, any teichen, it's the most accurate way of taking the Eibishter. He's taka right. So I can't say everything is Beis Galus. Table is not Beis Galus, because Moir is Beis Galus. Moir is the only thing, only Atzmus could be taken in such a way. Now, why does the child have it? How does the child have it? Just like a child be'etzem knows his father. There's a stage where he starts appreciating that it's an union of Giluy, Hakaras Atayv. I understand there's a father and a son. I understand there's a relationship over here, and any kind of Hagdaras. But before that, this is father. If it's possible, I don't know if it's a correct comparison. I'm just saying that you could have a musik of just knowing that it is, without knowing anything else. And this could only be said about something atzmi. That's the chiddush of Amoru Beis Galus. Now, this yisod that a child knows the Eibishter is also expressed in the V'hoste Yisod that Shem Shamayim Shagar B'fikei. So when people say Baruch Hashem, or with Hashem's help, if you stop them and say, what's Hashem? The fact that they don't have what to answer is not chisar. What are they saying? They're saying Hashem. And that's the only accurate way to take it. Ad kedei kach, we know the Rebbe said this lashon, that we Bachsidim we say the Eibishter. We don't say the Beire, we don't say Rebbeinu Shalach. There's many expressions, the Bashefer. There's many ways of talking about the Eibishter. Agute tate. What's the quality of the word Eibishter? Because it doesn't mean anything. All it's saying is he's above, he's beyond. I don't have anything else to say. And that's Bepashtus, that is him.
Where's that quoted from?
The Rabbi said this. I don't know, I have now Maramakim, but I think it was more than once. The Rabbi said this word. So, in other words, the Eibishter, any way you're going to say the way he's found is not going to be correct. There's Sedah Ma'aseh with the Rebbe Maharash, with the Rebbe Rashab. And it's a risky story to chazer if it's misunderstood. But some Ibn Chachem, some Maskil came to the Rebbe Rashab and he asked him, he says that everything has a shirish l'mayla. So what's the shirish of apikursis? It's like a trick question. In other words, if there's a shirish for it, so it's obviously true on some level. What does it mean that, so for wo nennt sich apikursis? So the Rebbe Shmuel said, was heißt? Because it's true. What does the Apikeres say? Is nit faran. It says emes. Is nit faran. That's not it. So it in a way, it's the most accurate way of taking the Eibishter. What does basically what this Apikeres is denying? Saying Hashem is not found, Hashem is not present. You're right. That's not Hashem. Now it happens to be that he's not fully right because there's also Eir. And Eir Sof Malas Kol HaCholol, or Nachmer, Eir Sof is Meir Lamata Mata Adin Tachlis. But he's onto something. The Eibush is nit faran. Good. But this Lashon of the Alter Rebbe said not just Hamoru Beis Galus, he said Va'adarab, Hamoru Beis Galus. Now there's a beer from the Rebbe Rashab, which is that Va'adarab means not just that regardless of the tzimtzum, the Eibishter is still behis galus. Not dafke al yedei tzimtzum. That's the Taich Va'adara. Was heißt? Before the tzimtzum, we're blinded by Eir. Eir means the greatness, the bligvul of the Eibishter. The etzem could only be brought out when the Eir is not blinding us, when the Eir is not in the way. And that's the chiddush of Amoru Beis Galus. Dafke Va'adarabe. When it's not the tzimtzum adarabah, idea tzimtzum, that's when the etzem is going to come out. Good. That is Bekitze Nimritz, the word of Hamoru Beis Galus. What does this have to do with our conversation? We asked a simple question. Why should there be an Eir in Sof, in Eir, a characteristic of not being begili? Eir is achgili. You could tell me that Moir is stronger than me. You could take me away. But Eir has the inyan of Tzimtzum. That's the way he's saying over here. Chiddush is like Shem she'er in sof lamata mata adin tachlis. The same way Eir in sof has in it the inyan of lamayla mayla adin ketz. I have an inyan to remove myself, to retreat. Why do I have an inyan to not be? Now we could understand abyssal. What's the Havon? What is Eir? Eir is to be Megala Moir. What says to be Megala Moir? To be Megala Moir as is. What does Moir say about Eir? What's Moir's opinion on Eir? That there's no such thing. It's irrelevant, it has no consequence, has no value. Moir doesn't need Eir. Moir just is. Could Eir bring out that? Could Eir bring out that Moir's opinion on Eir is that the Achamish Kain Inyan? In other words, could Eir say Hedera Eir, Nit Eir? That's the Chiddush of our Mamer. That yes, Eir has in it the Inyan of Lamayla Dinketz. Eir Inyani is to not be. As much as Inyani is to be, Inyani is also to not be. Why? Because I want to share the Moir the way it is. My Inyan is not Gili. My Inyan is Moir. And whatever the Moir says, that's what I say. So if Moir says that I don't exist, that's also I'm going to say that. And therefore, I have a tchuna in me to also not be. This is a brain twister, but this is what we're saying. Let's bring out maybe an emotional to machen a bissel gringer. A shliach, my whole inyan is to be megala the meshalech. Now, how could I do that? One way is by sharing inyanim, pratim, a vort, a parsha, a specific hero, something, a story, something specific, which I got from the meshalech, and I could share it lefi erech hakel. Another eifin is, I obviously feel that that's not doing justice to, I'm not really sharing the full meshalech, is I could share the bligvul. In other words, what's the experience of a chassid in Sim 70? In Milvade, of course, bepshitis, the mesiris nefesh, the emune, the chassidische hanoches, the bligvul. If I could manage to deliver that, what it means, the experience of a kofis in Sim 70, then I've managed to deliver not just the gvul, nor the era bligvul. And that is what I, as a shliach, want to share. Sometimes the gvul, and sometimes fakert. If you're going to need a nigun, or you're going to need a bissel l'chaim, or you're going to need to do something to deliver my bligvul, my mesiris, my pshitis in alakus, which I possess. What's the problem? La'acher kol zeh is dos moir. Zeu inyan amoir shenimtza mimenu oir. Poshet. The alakus bepshitis, the bligvul, which there is, that's all an expression of moir. Moir itself, the mishalech himself, he just is. And that's something which can't be brought out in words. It's something which I don't have. I'm not moir. I am, a shliach is someone who has in him, the achosid is someone who has in him the eir, the bligvul, the reichkeit from the zach. Not in seichel, in hechef and seichel, in emunah. Experience, I'm not him. In fact, so much so, that's why mizman lizman ich fahr zum Rebbe. For was darf ich fahren zum Rebbe? Because this is something that I can't deliver. This is something that I don't have. And what do you? Don't come to my allein. You're just here. What are you? I'm present. Where? By him. Now, Eir or the shliach, let's say, my inyan is to deliver the moir himself. That inyan gufa that I don't have, that gufa I want to give over. Is that possible? That's the question. Could I tell a story of something that I don't have? And the chiddush over here is that, yeah. How? By doing this exercise gufa of fahren zum Rebbe. When ich fahre zum Rebbe, what's the message that I'm telling to my Mukoravim? That there's something which I don't have, there's something which I can't tell you, because melachatchil, it's not part of my experience. I'm going to be bottled, I'm going to lose myself in something beyond. What do we see in the picture over here of somebody who's far zum Rebbe? That there's something atzmi. So when the shliach l'chure, he's leaving for 2 days. L'chure, he's leaving a shlichus now. Say, no, it's the esh tutte the full shlichus. Now I'm telling you the story that there's a moir which is beyond. By nit zayin b'makim hashlichus is I'm esh being megala the full mashalech. Now it's not an even of giluyim. It's an even of not being megala. That's the only way I could do it. So heder ha'er is megala moir. No, we can't say the word megala. It's coming from the fact that there's moir. So in a way, it's an inyan in er. So let's just be misakim. Could er say not er? Why should er say not er? Because er's inyan is not er. Er's inyan is moir. If I would be here, my matara is gilui, then you're right. There's no reason for me to have heder agil. Aber mein inyan is moir, that the moir should be present and apparent everywhere. I want to be megala, the full moir. The only way for er to be megala, the full moir, is by sometimes not being. So sa inyan in er is lesikum. Our question was, why should er have heder er? Why should er have lemaila dinkets? What's it doing in er? Why should er be mitzamtzim himself, retreating back into the mocker? That's the taich of tzimtzum, that the er was chayzer to be kolul in the moir. That's an inyan in er. You could tell me moir is all powerful. The Mashalech could call me back if he wants to call me back. He's stronger than me. Oh yeah, bichlal, that's machatchila what shliach is. Whenever I at the pleasure of the Mashalech. But you're going to tell me that this is my shlichus? Am I being active on shlichus now? Say yeah. My inyan is to be megale moir. Und azay bin ich megale moir. The real moir. The moir which says heder. Okay, is this making any sense? Yeah. Yeah? Okay. Now let's progress. La'achre kol zeh. What we've said is as follows. Sedo de moir. Sedo er. Sedo er, the way he comes in even of Erakvu. Erakav. So in the story of the Shliach, there's the Meshaleach, there's the Shliach as a Maimin, a Bal Mesiras Nefesh, a Chassidish Yid, and then there's the way he's managed to compromise himself to come to deliver a message, by from Prati, in Seichel, in Heichaches, or in a way which is going to be meaningful to a Makab. Now, what we said is that the Shliach manages to do all three. Was says he could come in Eiragvul, then he's fully Begoli is present. That's it. His Eira Bligvul is Bligvul. He could have this Eira Bligvul, Eira Sof also has this inyan to not be Lemay Ladin Katz, and that goof is the inyan of it. Here comes the question: what about when I'm coming to talk in a sprach of the Makab? Lamaila, that would be Eirakav. It's the way the Eibishter is coming to Takabim Machaya the world. Over here, am I also coming in an Eifon of Heder? Do I have the Lamaila Din Ketz also in this compromise there? Let's say in our Mashal, we said the story of our Shliach could not be. And that sends a message to the Mukoravim. Zalman wissen sein, Eima for Alamal as Moir Bichlal. Everything I've told you about him is Bichlal Nishdos, and that's the Moir Ale. Good. So that's in the Bligvul. But now let's talk about when he's coming and giving a class, and he's verbrengen with the Elam. Over here, I am being Nizgal. Do I have the Lamaila Adin Ketz over? Do I have, when I am coming and engaging with you, also a Tnu of Nit? Let's say Lamaila. We know that the Eibishter has Erin Sof Lamaila, Tzimtzum Silik Eir Agar Latzad, that's in the Erin Sof. Hedra. Good. Do we have the Lamaila Adin Ketz, the Tnu of Nit, also when he comes and he is present? And that's the Chiddush over here that, yeah, even where I am, I'm in an Eifon of Heder Agil. And this begs the question, why? My Inyan is to be Megal. My Inyan is to be, not to not be. How on earth are we saying at the same time, I'm stretching out my hand and I'm pulling it back, and that's part of being Nizgal? If you're going to tell me that the Eir is Mugbal Lamazagan, that the Eir is Chayes Ali coming into the world and it's being Mechaye, this tree, and it's Nikir that it's Chayes, but it's not Chayes Aliki. So that's the Helam Shab. Is that you're right? But so he was only half Nizgal. He's half Nizgal and half not Nizgal. You're going to tell me that the half which is not Nizgal is a part of his Gili? In what way? That's the struggle over here. Why is it Inyan in there? Good. So to understand that, we're going to let's go now to Teres of Baal Shem Tov and the Torah of the Maggid and see what the Rebbe saw in these Teres, this depth. I mean, come over, if we would see these Teres, we would never see this. And even Lachar HaMaaseh, it's hard to go back and see like how much the Rebbe took out of this, like to find it in the Torah. But this is L'cheira, this is the Mahalach over. The Baal Shem Tov said that Bereshis bara Elikim S. So he touched Elikim created S in an even of Aleph to Tov. What's Aleph to Tov? That he enclosed himself in the Aleph and then progressed with the Aleph to the base and then continued till 400 Levushim, which is Tov, Gematria 400. So we have the 400 Levushim over here, the way the Eibishter has enclosed himself. Then, Nochmer has Inyan of Klippe. Over there, it's already what he calls Hester, where he created Cheshech Apnei Sahem, this is Tayu, which is the idea of Klippes. So not only 400 Levushim for world, but also Klippes. That we're going to see later. Now, Zokda, the way the Rebbe finishes off, and this is all done through the idea of Elikim. What did the Rebbe see so gewaldig in this Torah? I mean, we know the idea of Tzimtzum. We know that open the Eitz Chaim. There's so many Torahs from the Baal Shem Tov Gufa about Tzimtzum. What's so special about this Torah? It's Bepashtus Hazeh. We know that there's idea of Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum is Bepashtus, like you were saying, Henein Gevur Yosef. The Eibishter has a kayach to withdraw the Eir. The question is this a property of the Eir itself? Does the Eir have the inyan to withdraw itself? Which is the message that we want to say over here. Eir in Sof has the inyan of Lamaila Adin Ketz. It's an inyan in Gilia Eir. It's an inyan in what Eir is about. Now, only in this Torah do we find that. Why? Seemingly, it seems that the Rebbe sees it from the words Alekim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Mitzamtzim himself. Why? Because he has the name Alekim. So if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is referring to the Eir, so the Eir in Sof possesses the quality of Alekim. It's a name of the Eibishter. It's not something outside of myself. The way I would say it everywhere else in Chassidus, that why is the Tzimtzum? Because there's the Keich HaReshimu, there's the idea of Kelim, there's the Keich HaGvul in the Eibishter, there's as much as the Eibishter has Inyan of Gili, but there's a balance over here because we bring out the Inyan of Helam, which blocks the Eir. And that's how you have this Inyan of Tzimtzum. So we know the Eir itself has this Inyan. It's not like Asius, which come and wrap the Eir. The Diuk Aloshan is he wrapped himself in the Asius. Why? Because it's something which the Eir wants to do, which is already demonstrating this Yesod that the Eir Ein Sof has the idea of Lamaila Adin Ketz. It's an Inyan in Eir. That's l'cheira what we're taking out from the Teres of Hashem. Now, clearly, the Baal Shem Tov is talking about the second stage, the Heder Agili. He's talking about the way he's coming, level after level, the Aleph till the Tov, to create the world. It's already the Eir HaKav. That's clear. We're talking about relating to the world. And still, there's an inyan over here of Heder Agil. On the one hand, I'm here, but on the other hand, I am the Heder Agil. Fragt sich the Shaila, how can you be here and not be here at the same time?
Can I ask a question? Why is it that, what is it in the Teres about Shem Tov that brings it out more than anything else?
So it seems like the Rebbe, Pasha, the way the Rebbe says it is from the word of that's coming from the Pasuk Bereshis Bara Lekim. Now, Lekim is saying that's an inyan Leki. It's an inyan in the air. That's the way the Rebbe is learning it. There's probably other places, L'cheira in the L'shenis of the Baal Shem Tov, we could demonstrate. I don't know if we want to go down that path, but maybe just 1 minute. First of all, from the Lashon, he says Nisatif. Nisatif sounds like I wrapped myself, not the Otaf es ha'er with Asius. No, I enclosed myself. So who's getting dressed over here? The Eir. So the Eir is dressing himself. So it sounds like the Eir has an inyan of Gvul. So noch diuk, which is, if the idea would be that it's only coming mitzad HaKelim, then the way it would work is that on every level there should be less Eir. The way the Lashon over here is that he comes into the Aleph, and then he takes the Aleph with him into the base, and it sounds like he's taking every level lower and lower down. So we still have the full import of the higher air when we're coming to the lower place. That's a bissel what it sounds like. L'cheira, that itself also brings out this word, that only because it's an inyan in the air, that's why the air itself is condensing himself. It's not coming from something mibachutz. Al Kopanim, the way the Rebbe was madgishit is partial from the Lashon Alekim. That's the... And it just to be clear, in the Teres of Hashem Tov, it's not so emphasized. He says it on the Pasuk Beresh Bara Lekim, but the Rebbe comes back to emphasize this. So that's L'chura the Hadgash. But Kumuvin, there's no beer. There's no Hasbara. In fact, before even Hasbara, there's no Hagdara. Like in what? No. Why? In what way? What are you saying? I'm Behelem, I'm Begili, at the same time. I'm coming into the Asius, about the same, which is an inyan of Gili, inyan of Eir, and Eir has this inyan of being here in the Eifan of Heder Agil. What's the pshat? So this is where we bring in Teres HaMagid. Teres HaMagid says a word like this. The Eibishter lowers himself to be in an Eifan of Chatzitzur. Clearly, we're talking about the Eibishter lowering himself to relate to the world. What does he do? He's not just, he condenses himself. Lefi erech the world, but the Hagdara is Chatzitzur. Why Chatzitzur? Because the plan is that there should be another Chatzitzur, the Adam, the Tachten, which is going to come and be Mashlamim. And only then is there going to be Achtus or Pnimis. There's going to be a Pnimistic relationship with the world. What are we seeing from here? That the kavana of the tzimtzum is Gili. What's the kavana of this inyan of tzimtzum, of Chatzitzura? I want to make myself into a half in order that I should become a whole. I need you. What do I need? Not just I need you, I need you. I need the Yid. He should come and break these boundaries to be Eila and to make me a Shalom. What are we saying over here? Already a Hasbara. Why is it Tzimtzum? The inyan of Hedera or rather Hedera Gili, by being present and at the same time, I am not present. But that gufa is a way of me being present. Saying Pashat, if you look at the Kavanah Shabazah, if you're going to look at where we want to get to, because the inyan is a inyan of Aliyah, of making the Tachten connect with me, a bazay, that gufa is inyan of Gili. That guf is inyan of Gili. If I look at it, at the plan, what I want to get from this. Now, let's see this a bissel ba'emek here, sir. This idea is only understood properly with the Yisod of Amaru Be'ez Galus. I don't want to get too complicated, but there's a famous Mamer, Shevat Beganim Yud Gimel. The Rebbe explains that the idea of Hamoru be'izgalus is the reason for Kelyne. In other words, what happened in the Tzimtzum? The Tzimtzum wasn't a retreat, just getting potter from the air. The Tzimtzum is fakert. We are bringing out Moir. We're bringing this very Moir be'izgalus that we said before is what a child could experience. Just the fact of the Eibsh's existence. That says, Eibazei lav dafka the Eibush has to be an Eifen of Gili. He could also be an Eifen of Helen. He could also be an Eifen of Kalim, of Asis. So the system of the Tzimtzum is Silik Eiragod Lalatzad, and what will we megale Hamoir ubeis galus, the Moir itself, Memela, there's an Asinas Makim for Kalim. Let's say this in the Moshel of the Rav. In the Moshel of the Rav, it's going to be, I am Mesalik myself in order for the Talmud to reach this conclusion himself. And the only way the Talmud could reach this conclusion is if I won't be present. So when I'm Mesalik myself, am I now not being a teacher? Adarab, it's the process of proper teaching. I would not be a good teacher if I wouldn't be quiet, if I wouldn't let the Talmud come to the conclusion himself. So it's a process of Gilui, Harav, the Rav in Yoni is to get the Seichel to the Talmud. In Yoni is that I'm going to pull back, and that itself is going to make the Talmud understand this emes. In truth, what's really happening over here is that the Rav is saying a much broader statement. You don't need to understand it the way I understand it. Just because I understood it in the Eifen of Gilui, in the Eifen of Bligvul, du kannst nehmen der Etzem in dein Sprach. The emes is as emes maskmatzim mikol tzad. If it's true, it doesn't have to come in my language. In the truth could come the way you take it. Kumtois, if we'll come back to the moshel of the shliach. So the shliach, he's coming to share. Will geben a word for them. We're already talking Eiragvul. I want to share. So the message over here is, don't overshare. Share, but stop at some point and let this person come to the conclusion in his own language. Now, what's going to happen is this person is going to start using funny language. He's going to start bringing a mashal from his own world. He's going to apply it in his own life. The way I take it. But Aimek, that's the emes Gili Hamoir. It's saying the Moir doesn't have to come in an Eifen of Gilui. It could come in a Sprach, wie emtas. Emes mi'aretz titzmach. Emes is masking matzim mikol tzad. From every space every place we'll take it. Except can in sein eigen eisius. So when the Talmud in the Sprach of the Maggid is coming to say, and the Talmud is coming with such a statement. I understood the emes. Why? Because I'm using my own words. Has brought out the emes much more than if the Rav would have said the emes kameshahu, even more than if the Rav would have shared his Ein Sof, his bligvul. Because when the Rav shares his bligvul, it's sof being mechas on the etzem. What brings out the etzem itself? The etzem itself is, I'm not mugdar in any way. I could come out in Eifen of Gvul also. So now we've made full circle. When is the Eir or the Shliach fully loyal to the Mishaleach? When he knows to be quiet. The Lashon Achsidis, the Rav needs bittul. We always know that the Talmud needs bittul. Neitvis Meir, and he has to be in Eifun of Nashikov al-Kaltiya, Mekabel from the Rav. The emissaries also says Achsidis, the Rav needs bittul. So there's two types. First of all, he needs bittul to the Talmud. I have to care for the Talmud. It's not about me. It's about the Talmud. Tifageret, I need bittul to the emes. If you really care that the emes should come out and not your way of taking the emes, hold it. Pull back and kumuven, you have to have the chatzitzura. If you're not going to come and share the emes, then okay, you're going to rely on this Chevraman. He's going to come to common conclusions himself. It's nothing to do. You haven't shared the truth. So on the one hand, you need to be megala the emes. But then you stop and you say, now you work it through. Now you work it through finding your own ACS. This is being megala. The emes is beyond the Rav. It's beyond the shliach. The more, it's nicht emes, as ich kann nehmen the Rebbe and I'm sharing the Rebbe with you. It's nicht emes. The Rebbe is this Mekurev's Rebbe. Nicht weniger wie es ist mein Rebbe. I is going to take in the most grobe, funny language. Pseider. Who decided as the Rebbe darf man nehmen wie ich nehmen? So, dafke through coming an even of Chatzitzure is Nizgale. First of all, I've reached the Talmud Beivim Pnimi. But that itself, as the Rebbe continues, das ist Amar Rebbe Izgalus. Adrabah, that is the Etzem Kameshahu. You know, there's a gewaldige letter from the Rebbe to, there's a Yid, Rebbe Gezander ben Nun, who was the Menal of the Reshet Aleziv Yitzchak in Eretz Yisrael. And at some point, he was a teacher, he lost his voice. And it was a serious condition. It was for a few months, he couldn't talk. And if you take away a voice from a teacher, so you've taken from him, it basically, his toolbox. He can't talk. So he wrote to the Rebbe. First he was asking a bracha, but he was like, Lama asa avaya kacha. What's the Eibishter want from me? What's the message over here? So the Rebbe answered a beautiful letter. It's in Chelik Yud Ches Nigris. Sometimes a teacher doesn't understand that the matara is that the child should get the Gemara himself. Sometimes the teacher leads the learning and doesn't let the Talmud read. Sometimes the teacher leads the davening and doesn't empower the child to learn himself. The Rebbe writes over there, the matara doch from the chinuch is that in a short amount of time, we should empower the Talmidim that they themselves should be tefeach amanas latfiach to share with others. Why is it not happening? It's because you're overwhelming your classroom. The Eibusha took away your voice. That's part and parcel of being a teacher. That sometimes you shouldn't have a voice. And let the Talmud come to the conclusion himself. Yeah. Okay. We're short on time, so I don't want to be ma'arich on this too much, but let's already progress to the Mittler Rebbe and the Tzemach Tzedek and see how they take this idea and develop it further. So just l'sikum, where we're holding so far. We asked the question, Sedo heder ha'er v'heder ha'gilim. And this is all a tnua in Eir Ein Sof. So the Eibishter's Eir wants to not be. What's the pshat? The yesod of the answer is because the Eir feels the moir. Eir is returning to its moir. How so? By not being, I'm saying the way moir sees Eir. And that itself is saying the story of moir. Tifirgeret, even when I am coming and sharing the moir, I'm coming in the eifon of gvul. I'm coming in the eifon of hashpah. Even then, it's an eifon of siluk. It's an eifon of not being. So over there I'm not Eir. It's not true. Over there I'm also Eir. Because over there it's tzimtzum b'shvil hagil. Not only is it also Eir, but in a way it erst now I'm being megala the moir mamish. Because only now is nizgale as the Talmud Alein is going to take the Rav, so the moir wasn't mugder. In Eir, the moir could come in the eifon of gvulos. This idea the Rebbe brings from the Mittler Rebbe and the Tzemach Tzedek. So we don't have time now to get into all the shlavim of the Mittler Rebbe, but the most important part is how do we say Ani Avai Leshanisi in Eir HaGvul? So l'chatchila we say Ani Avai Leshanisi, the Eibishter, by creating, doesn't get in any way changed because the Eibishter remains pashut even when he creates, because Atzmus is not engaged in the creation. Even Eir Ein Sof is not engaged because it's only la'achar hatzimtzum. But the Eir, la'achar hatzimtzum, how is that not in any way being tampered with? How is it Ani Avai Leshanisi? So over here we're talking about Eir HaGvul. So the Rebbe brings a fascinating shtickle from Lekutei Torah Nitzavim. So let's just learn this shtickle for itself, and then see the mashal of Rav Talmud, which the Rebbe brings Bekesher, and see how it connects with what we're discussing till. The statement that the Alter Rebbe said is that Atzilus is present in this world. Fragt sich die Kasche, by definition, if we're talking over here about Eiragvul, where I am, I have to overtake that place. That place has to become like me. And if I haven't, then I'm not there. Could I say a svara is in my head, even though I didn't understand it? So it's not there. It's Pnimi. That's the type of Eiragvul. I can't be here and not be here at the same time. But again, we say, as he's here and not at the same time. What does it mean, Bichlal, to say that Atzilus is here? So the Alter Rebbe demonstrates this. Actually, he says 3 Mishalim. The Rebbe only brings 2 of them. From Moshe Rabbeinu and from Nevu. Says that Moshe Rabbeinu is a Neshama Atzilus. Now, even if we don't have a Moshe Rabbeinu over here, still it's a Neshama Atzilus. The Neshama Atzilus is here. Or Akapanim says Atzilus is here. As you have when Moshe Rabbeinu was standing in front of Pari. So it's Kilo Atzilus meeting in Elam Asiyah, Pari of Elam Asiyah clearly. Vim calls it Atzilus. So Al Derech Zeh, you have this even though Moshe Rabbeinu is not. Al Derech Zeh says in Nevuah, we have Nevuah even though we don't have a Navi. Because all we're missing is the Keli. Now, come over, this needs a little bit more beer. What's the pshat? What are we saying that Atzilus is here, even though he's not here? First of all, what does it mean, Bichlal Atzilus in Asiyah? And then even if you don't have the Neshama Atzilus, it's still here, it's just missing a Kelech. So he's not here if he doesn't have the Kelech. Pasha Pirish Aminis. So let's just zwei Wörter on this in. What does it mean when we say Neshama Atzilus? So any Neshama of Atzilus, any Neshama really comes from Atzilus. All Neshamas. They were Tahirahi, and then Atabrasa, Yitzarta, Nafachta, it went through the process of coming and having a shaykhs to this world. And that's when it becomes Melubish Baguf. But what's usually the process? That there's a part of me which still remains Tahirahi, which was from Atzilus. And obviously I still retain some of that. But now I've developed, I've moved on, until I've created Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, the various levels of the Neshama, and that's the functioning Neshama, the way is Neshama, and Beguf is not like that. What's a Neshama Atzilus? Even when I come Lamata, I remain Atzilistic. So even though I am here, it's B'derech Maiver. What's B'derech Maiver? It's Al Derech, the Moshel HaYedua in Chassidus, that a person could have seichel, and he writes down seichel on a piece of paper. So it's the seichel has come through the midas, obviously, in order to get to the ma'aseh. But it remained seichel. It didn't become an emotion on the way. It was just seichel passing through midas. So in other words, seichel was using midas as a bridge. So in a way, he was in midas, because he is using one of the qualities of midas, the fact that shaykh la'azulas, the connection with ma'aseh. But he's riding on the midas. He's not becoming midas on the way. He didn't stop on that place and that space and become a midah. He's remained seichel, and as a seichel came into the Elam HaMais. Al derech zeh, we're saying over here, Moshe Rabbeinu is a neshama Atzilus, and he retained his Atzilus identity, even though he rode on the inyanim of Biyah. Come over, he came through Biyah, and he is now present in the Elam Asiyah. But he didn't become like midas or Maiseh. He didn't become Bri Yitzira Asiyah. He didn't accept the Hagbalos of Elam Asiyah, remained Atzilistic. That's the Taich and Neshama Atzilus coming down into this world. A bissel besser gesagt. What's the Taich Atzilus and the perspective of Atzilus on this world? So our world, we know that everything comes from Atzilus. So you have the Mesikas Tapuach, and really the Mesikas Tapuach comes from Chesed Atzilus. That's the truth. But let's ask a pashta question. The Mesikas of Tapuach is Atzilus? Kumuven as nicht. Kumuven as nicht. Chesed Atzilus is Leigur Chara, Hu Levadu Hu Vein Zolosei, Sidamis von alle Kurses, the Kerech HaGvul of the Eibishter. There's nothing else besides for the Eibishter. Mesikas Tapuach is not that. It comes from there. It's a tnua, it's nishtalshel. It's not that, it's nivra, it's not beir. If I am standing in Atzilus, is there such a thing as a mesikas tapuach? Kumuvan as not. There's no such thing. There's a hulavadu uvein zalasa. There's no nivra. There's no such thing as yeshus. There's no such thing as anything which is not eibishter. What's pshat? A neshama d'Atzilus down in this world. We have somehow a connection between the two. It's the Atzilus perspective on mesikas tapuach. So again, world of Asiya just says, thank you very much for Chesed Atzilus. I'm very grateful for you for being my mocker, but that's not who I am. I am Mesikas Tapuach. Chesed Atzilus doesn't know of such a thing called Mesikas Tapuach. What happens, Aber, if someone who has Chesed Atzilus holds an apple? So he says, there is Mesikas Tapuach, but what is it? Chesed Atzilus. I see this differently. So I'm not denying it's green, it's crunchy, it's sweet, it's an apple. But this is all Atzilus. I see it as part of Atzilus. That's the type of pashtus. As Neshama Atzilus, it's an Atzilus perspective in this world. And this is the argument that we would have with the Neshama Atzilus. Meaning, I live in this world. I could learn Chassidus, you could tell me things on Mushrish, Gesundheit. But the Metzias bepshitas. This is what it is, and then you're telling me where it comes from. Neshama Atzilus, the Rabbi sees lechatchila the world as it. How does Chassidus look at the world? This is what it is. Such the taich is you're taking a piece of technology and using it for afatzah mayanos. So forget. In Atzilus states is da as a zach was afatzah mayanos, and that's the lechatchila the taich, a tape recorder and a microphone and internet and the radio. That's lechatchila what it means. Ezet lechatchila the zach. Now in Atzilus there's no radio. In Atzilus is only afatzah mayanos. The Rebbe sees he is in this world. He's just coming from the Atzilus perspective. I'm just touching goes the verse when I mean that he is Atzilus over here lamata. He's meeting Parah. He's just looking at Parah the way Atzilus would look at it. But not Atzilus the way Atzilus is lamaila, the way when Atzilus comes lamata. So in a way I'm here, but I've retained my identity. I'm still looking at everything the way Atzilus looks at it, which is a pella. Those are Neshama Atzilus. Not a Neshama Atzilus could have this experience. Now, here comes the big question. Who's right? Are we right, or is the Neshama Atzilus right? Bepashtus, I would argue that we're right. I really live in this world. You are a visitor. You didn't really properly process Seder Shtalshalus. You haven't accepted Bria, Yitzira, Asiya. So Mamela, you still look at things from that perspective. Gesundheit, you're allowed to have that perspective. That's your experience. The facts are that this is an apple. Could we say that? Kumuvan as nicht. Obviously, the Neshama Atzilus is not just experiencing something. It's not experiential. It's the truth. He's right. Elamai, there's Yichud Tata and Yichud Eila. But Alibed de Emes, this is a truth in this world. It's the way the Eibishter sees this, it's the way Atzilus sees this world when he's here. So when I am here, I'm not just connecting with Atzilus, like only 1 foot here and 1 foot there. There is, so to speak, a deeper dimension in the world, a layer, a level in this world which looks at things from that perspective. So, lesikum, if we understand that Neshama Atzilus looks at things from that perspective, we have to say the logical conclusion is that it's not totally if there's a Neshama Atzilus here. It's the truth. So Atzilus is here, Lamata. It's not just the way I have Zechangeret. Like he's living in dreamland. No, I experience this. Why? Because I'm connecting with that energy, with that truth. So the world is multi-layered. There's Asiya, and then there's the Atzilus Shabasi. Only a Neshama Atzilus could experience this, look at things in that way. But that perspective is Adarab, probably more the truth of this world than the simple truth. Eibaze. We could come back to our Mamer and understand what Alter Rebbe is saying. The Alter Rebbe is saying a Pashta Yisod. The fact that we don't have a keli for neshama d'atzilis in this world, so for atzilis doesn't mean that atzilis is not here. If when there is a keli, he's here, that means that also when there's no keli, he's here, because it's the truth. Al derech zeh, we say even in Inyan Nevuah. What's Nevuah? Nevuah is not something just some kind of koach to foresee the future, and we're just being given different messages in my head. Nevuah clearly means meloshen neviah. It's a flow of the emes of Elokus. It's connecting to the Eibishter. That's the type of Navi. A Navi, like the Rambam describes, is mevatel himself. They have to play music and different things to become keli, to elevate myself to be a keli for this emes of Elokus. Now, you have to ask the same question. When the Navi experiences Nevuah, Kumuvim, once he experiences this emes, so therefore he sees, he has a different perspective on the world, and therefore he could actually see the future, and he could understand what's going on. He has a different glasses on this world. But that's all it takes, because he sees the world from a different level of emes. He's connected with something deeper. When the Navi sees this, is he again experiencing something, or is he connecting with something? Kumuvin, he's connecting with something which exists. So Lefiza zog the Alter Rebbe some kind of made a statement. Nevuah exists in this world now. There's no Navi. That's a technicality. Nevuah exists in this world now, just the same. If not, then you're undercutting the idea of Nevuah when the Navi is here. So Ebaze, Atzilus is found over here and Nevuah is found over here. How has this helped us? It's helped us with understanding this yesod of being present but not begili. What's the type? Being here but not begili. So now we understand somehow epasam chasha for it, because you could being here is lav dafke begili. You could have an inyan nevuah, you could have inyan atzilus, and not begili. Kumuvin, all we've done over here is said the hagdara. There's no asbara, but this is where we're seeing that the Rebbe is demonstrating from this shtickle of the Alter Rebbe that you have such a thing. It's mechuyev al pi cheshbon, that there is such a thing. There is an inyan of being present without being begoli. To explain this further, we bring the classical mashal from the Rav Talmud, where the Rav says a mashal, and at the same time he still knows the full truth. When he says the mashal, he's fully aware of the emek of the emes, the pnimiyah seichel Rav. Not only is he aware of it, he sees it in the mashal. And that's the pshat, that the Rav gives over the emes to the Talmud, even though the Talmud is only taking the chitzenius of it, be'emes liegt in them the ganze emes. That's the pashtus. So again, over here we see the same rule. I could exist in a place without being begili. The seichel Rav is here in the chitzenius ha-seichel without being begili. So this all brings us back to this yisod, as the eir has in it the capacity of l'maylad and ketz, the keich of hell. Not just in the eifon of heder eir, of retreating, even in the eifon of heder agili. Was heißt, I'm here, and at the same time, not begili. Das zet man da pashat in Tzayin, Moshe Rabbeinu and the Navi, and in the Rav talking to the Talmud. I am here, but not begili. Now, this is all not yet the real Havana of Heder Agili, of this inyan of Eir, of the Tzimtzum which there is in the Eir. Why? Because sof, there's the Hester. We still haven't dealt with the Hester itself. And that's what the Magid dealt with by saying, we're not talking over here about the Eir. We're saying, but what about this Hester? Is the Hester an inyan in the Gili? I know that you could be here, but could you tell me that the Tnua in the Eir, the fact that you're Behelim? What did the Magid teach us? The Magid said, yes, I'm being mitzamtzim myself, Chatzi Tzura, and that itself is initiating a aliyah of milmata lamayla, your Chatzi Tzura, in order that it should come here. And that gufa is the greatest gili. Because Sai, I'm reaching a lower place, and Sai, as discussed, this is the etzem being nisgal, because also the Tachten is saying the sentence. This is what the Rebbe brings out. The Friedrich Rebbe says in the Mamer, the moshel of Yosef Kamese. Das ist schon ein gewaltiger Wort. The Yosef Kamese means that the Talmud, the Rav, not only in his experience does he see the full truth in the Chitzenes HaSeichel, also the Talmud could experience that the Tzimtzum is Gili. Why? Because when you see the Rav hiding himself, stopping himself from talking, he starts talking a sentence and he stops and he doesn't say it. Why is he not saying it? You could say, does it Tzimtzum? Or you could learn Beser Pshat. What he's doing over here is investing in me. And I see over here the Bekayach, that eventually what's supposed to happen is I'm supposed to sprout from this. This is a Tzimtzum process, so it's really a Gili process. Because we're just holding in stage one, Tzimtzum. So that this vart of Yosef Kamese is mamish back to the Magid. What I'm saying over here is I'm engaging with you in an even of Tzimtzum. It's an investment for what's supposed to blossom. Yosef Kamese. It's very reich. If you listen to the full Farbrengen, big chunk of the Farbrengen, Tafshin Chafei, was a Hadron. And in this Hadron, the Rebbe addressed the famous story of Rabbi Akiva Nechamtonu, that one of the shlovim in the Hadron was, he saw that it was Niskaim Tzink to Sadat Techaresh, so Yerushalayim had been plowed, so it's the biggest klala. Says over there, Dafke in the biggest klala, Rabbi Akiva started laughing. Why? Because he saw Charisha as something else. And the Rebbe says a beautiful word. Charisha means plowing. Plowing is a process of planting. Plowing is the beginning, he sees already a blossoming field. So it's plowed, this is a churban, tachlis a churban. Seeing Kesadet Techarish, he sees in the churban already the gili, the gula that's going to come out. It's interesting, over there the Rebbe also mentioned the first shlav, the fact that he is here even though he's not begili, like Al Derech Nevuah, Al Derech the Rav finds his seichel in the Talmud. And then the Rebbe Mamish referred to the Mamer, Al Derech that we said in the Mamer. So the Rebbe said that the same thing is that you have Gula, even though the Gula hasn't come, but Be'etzim he could see in it already the Inyan HaGula. Elamais, so Gal Sapara, as soon as the Churban happened, already the Para announced that the Mashiach is coming. There is already Gula. It can't be seen, so the Rebbe said there's Lashon. It just has to be people who are Kalim to listen to Mashiach Shal Yisrael. In other words, there is a Mashiach Shal Yisrael, and it just has to be listened to. If there would be Kalim to listen to him, it's Shein Dadi Gula. And the Rebbe said, this is Mamash Al Derech Vida Mamer, that you have the Gilui, Elamai, there's no Kalim to receive it. Now we're saying even deeper word. Not just that there's no Kalim to receive it. It says, Be'etzim Shein Faranen, in the Hester itself, an Inyan of Tzmicha. And it's fascinating. The two Lashonis, Yosef Kamese and the Tzion Kesadet Techarish. It's the same Inyan of planting and blossoming. So we see over here already this Inyan, the way the Rebbe Taich and the Hadron is very geschmack. The Tzimtzum is B'shvil HaGilui. So that's the Hagdara of the Tzimtzum itself. As Lesikum, what's the Nekude of why in the Eir, Inyan HaGilui, there is a concept of Hester? Because in the Hester, likt be'etzim inyan hagilui in Yosef Kamese, and that's the word of the Magid that the Chatzi Tzura, what's present over here is really the second Chatzi Tzura. Good. Adkan is the first half of the Mamer. See, we're short on time a little bit, so let's just get straight to the Nakuda. What's the vart of the Mamer? La'achre kolze. We still haven't dealt with the Hester itself.
Can I ask a Klotz Kasha?
Yeah.
Every Hester, every Tzimtzum is B'shvil HaGilui.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? Ultimately. The whole point of Tzimtzum was b'shvil hagilui. So what's the element here that we're saying over here? What's the
so that's mamish where we're up to. Till now, we said, I mean, come over with the Tosfos Eimek, but we said classic tzimtzum b'shvil hagilui l'chayr. Yeah, this is looking at the tzimtzum and really seeing in it gilui, seeing that really it's the v'kayach from the Yosef kameis, which in itself is mistame a word was mit wegen dem verbringen. It says seeing in tzimtzum gilui is shayna inyan. It's a certain eitzer which we're being given. Over here, we want to say something more. Was heißt? Sof, seeing tzimtzum b'shvil hagilui is you're telling me, look at this tomorrow. Don't look at today, look at tomorrow. And Rabbi Akiva saw the future. But what about today? The tzimtzum experience, the Hester experience, being stuck. You're telling me it's a springboard for the future. Okay. That could be very inspiring. But you're telling me not to live in the present. I want to understand, what's the tzimtzum about? What's this Hester? And to that you haven't spoken to. Let's go back to Teres Abal Shem Tov. Teres Abal Shem Tov was in two stages. First he says, the inyan of tzimtzum, the aleph to tov v'chulu, and this is all kamuven, that the Eibusha should be able to be present. He's coming into the world. And as we explained in the Magid, this is the Chatzitzur. In order for him to reach the world, he needs the world. The second part of Teres Abal Shem Tov is he's creating klippa. Klippa is not good. Klippa is not an imtsoy for something else. You're not going to tell me klippa really behelim is there. It's half and there's the other half. There's nothing. It's neged havai. Why did he do that? So, in other words, what about the Hester itself? Chidush of our Mamer is, sagt the Rebbe, the Hester itself also comes from there itself. Why? So over here we bring the Rebbe Rashab, we say that the Hester itself is coming from Yecholte Shalei Lahir, which is, first of all, equal to Yecholte Lahir. Both are coming from the fact that the Eibishter is Pashat, has Yechelis, and Yechelis means Yecholte Lahir and Yecholte Shalei Lahir. And that's where it really comes from. Tifur Yecholte Shalei Lahir is deeper in him than Yecholte Lahir. Why? So this is a Pashta Klal. You see that for a person to hold himself back, it comes from a deeper place than for a person to express himself. A person to withhold ava and to punish your child needs more ava than to kiss your child. For even begashmis, when you have a rock which is rolling down a mountain, to push the rock down the mountain needs less kayach than to hold back that rock once it's flowing, once it's rolling. Meaning, withholding comes from a deeper place. What's the eimeka inyan? Because being megale is already in some way. Withholding it's coming from I. What's going to end up being the picture when I'm withholding? But there's nothing, there's just I. So when a person is bepashtus, if I tell a person talk, so he'll talk. It's a over Yosef on him. When I tell a person don't talk, he's not going to be not talking for an hour. He could never talk. Meaning, shlila is always deeper than chiyuv. Leisa say is always harder than essay. Tell a person to put on tefillin is one thing. Tell a person never to eat treifus. So you're not telling me about something I'm going to do. You're telling me to define myself mechadosh. That's why Sur Meirah is much harder than Asay Tev. Because
what's the Hezber? It's more atzmi?
So it's just me. It's the raw me. It's me. Not being something is saying, hey, but so it's just me. What am I left with? I'm not engaging in anything else. I'm just being myself, pure me, without anything else. So the Yecholte Shalei Lahir, in a way, brings out the etzem more than Lahir. Now, therefore, what we're saying is, Ochin Ato Kel Mistater. Rebbe learns the pshat, not just like the Frierdiker Rebbe learned, but the Ato is telling me that Ata, I am both, Sai Kel and Sai Mistater. What's the Mistater? Is the Ato. Where's the etzem found in this hester? So the sikum, where we hold.
But wait, that's a bring.
Let me just finish the cheshbon. Ebazei, I'm now addressing this hester itself. How is the hester not a hester on the Eibishter? L'cheire, I'm stuck. So I'm telling you, the Eibishter himself has this inyan of hester. And what he's done now is shared with you his inyan of hester. Just like you have hester, you should know this is coming from the Eibishter. Now, over here, we have to be very careful. What we've done is, we've just jumped to some maskana saying, Atzmus. Tzad Atzmus, Ato is da the inyan von hester. Bazei, it's not in Eir Sof. The Yisod of the Mamer was saying that this is an inyan in Eir. To say that hester comes from Atzmus, ach mein, das steht bechlalas, Metzius im Atzmusei, da lamata nimmt sich, this hergish Metzius im Atzmusei comes from Metzius im Atzmusei of the Eibishter. We're not saying that. Our whole Mamer is discussing Eir. The chiddush over here is that it's an inyan in Eir to have this inyan of hester be'etzem. Everything that we've discussed till now makes sense. Eir, which is inyan agilui, hot in zich hester, and we found we've somehow managed to bring out how it's an inyan in Eir gufa, because Eir feels moir, so therefore it's hester, and that gufa is away from being megala moir. Because Eir wants to reach every place, so by tzimtzum, that gufa is a shlavin gilui. That's all the way Eir talks about hester. How Eir is using hester to his advantage. Over here, we're saying, no, hester as hester. And Eir has that. Eir has an inyan of not. The Mailadin Ketz. What's it doing in Eir? Why should it be in Eir? That's the Chiddush. This is the Nekudas HaChiddush of our mind. That the Eibishter has in his Eir Sof this inyan of hester mansh. Now, in Havana, it's going to be very hard. Yeah, in Havana, what we're saying is that it's mitzadi the mocker of Eir is yicholte shalayla Eir. So that's called inyan Eir. It's coming from this place of Yechidas. But let's just translate it in Aveda Dikaisius, and maybe it just comes out more ba'amchasha. If you tell me that there's hester over here in the world, and you say, you know where this comes from? Because atzmus and mitzus and atzmusa, and that's why this is like this over here. All you're telling me is that the Eibush is the marker for it. Fine. That's in no way moving me, helping me in my Aveda. Masha'enkin, when I tell you, listen, you have a blockage in your Aveda. Let's talk about the mashal. The fact that you have a me'er gas. And the me'er gas, versteht nicht Elikus. There's different ways of dealing with this. First of all is, I want to tell you, it's the way the Eibishter wants to be megala as the emes alein could be nizgala also in your thick head. And the reason he gave you such a stupid head is in order to be megala the emes from Elikus, that also you could understand him. So you, because you're stupider than the rest, are being megala the Eibishter even more. So you're very special. The more stupid you are, the more me'er gas, it's more l'mayla adin kates, how much there is an emes inyan of hester, because it's an inyan of ili achar ili. Me brengt mer aris the Eibishter. So any blockage in Aved, yeah? I mean, I have yisurim, I have nisyanis, I have stuff. So you should just know that what's going on over here is a gili process. That's one way of looking. Then we're saying a new inyan, and this is the inyan of this Mamer. The Eibishter talks to us in two ways. He either is Megala himself, or he's master himself. And both times the Eibishter is sharing himself. I'm sharing myself in Eivan of Gili, or I'm sharing myself in Eivan of Hester. And this time I'm talking to you in Eivan of Hester. How do you have the Eibishter? Through the thick head. That's one way of having him. Being stupid, nish nemen elikus, is another way of the Eibishter being present. So that gufa is a certain communication from the Eibishter. That's what we metun da'uf. It's not that the Eibishter did it. We know the Eibishter did it. It's Eir. It's an inyan in Eir. It's an inyan of Gili. Eir in Sof says Gili. Over here, Dalamata, the air has reached us to a place. With stuff, we're talking about the way the air is coming and permeating the Nivra. So when I look at a Nivra, and on the one hand I see Gila Lukus, I'm saying that's Lamata Mata Din Tachlis. The Eibishter could be found beyond and within everything. Leidach Mimenu Nidach, Ima Yanechi Betzara, the Eibishter is found within everything. Then I'll tell you another way. There's the Tzimtzum and everything, there's a Hester. So the blockage itself, that's also me. That's me. It's another way of me being here. And that's it. But it's a communication. That's what we're trying to say. It's another way of the Eibishter finding me and delivering to me himself. Just the Taicha is maybe in it's not the same sugya over here, but it's just Meram Choshe, is a lot of Yisurim. When a person has Yisurim, so there's one way of dealing with it, is the way Chassidus deals with it, is that Ka'ava Reches says, we hear it's a process. It's the matara is good. Faket is coming from a deeper place of good because I want to help you. And the Yisurim are really for a good matara. Perek Chavav doesn't say that. Perek Chavav says this is good. It's more good. Why? Because I have two ways of you finding me. You could take me from Almadis Kalia, or you could take me from Almadis Kasya. This is also me. I'm not telling you it's going to become good at the end. We're saying over here is you have to be on the madrega of Hashem. You have to love the Eibishter so much that you want him. You want him. Oh, but it's a similar message we're saying over here is that the Hester is him. And this, now let's come back to the Nekudah, is the Eitzer. What the Rebbe is saying over here is that in our generation, we've been given this Eitzer. We've been given Hester. In other words, that this blockage that we have, and which we have uniquely in our generation, which any Indian of Hester, wie willst du es abteichen? Nach Gimel Tammuz, or Bechlal, nach Zelem, Grabkat, whatever you want. Any Indian of Hester, one way of looking at it is the way I've seen it till now, in the past previous years, in Tavshich Chav Beis, Chav Gimel, Chav Dalet. It was all about undoing the Hester. Looking through the Hester, overcoming the Hester, finding out that really beyond the Hester is Gili. Don't vanish the spell from the Hester. This year, we're seeing, let's celebrate the Tzimtzum. But Zeh Gufa, there's going to be two shlavim. First of all, see how Tzimtzum is B'shvil HaGili. That's the way in you have Tzimtzum. Fine, that was all the first half of the Mamer. Then you have Klippus. He's making Tzimtzum. Don't fakef me, it's B'shvil HaGili. There's no Gili over here. So what's this about? It's another way of the Eibishter sharing himself with me. That he's shared himself with me from this deep place, that's the Eitzer. The Eitzer is the fact that the Eibishter is so behelem, be'etzem it's helem. This thing I have. This is what I've been given. This is kamuven a schwere Sache, mit darf es abteitschen, we need more dogmas and avede. But this is the yesod. Finding how the Hester itself is the thing. Yeah, I'm sorry, Yitzi, I cut you off.
No. I'm sorry for not putting myself on mute.
No, it's good. You want to say something?
You already answered it, so that's good.
Oh, okay, gewaldig.
But there's something else now. But like lefizeh, why should we work? Unless you're going to go more. Why should we work on taking away this Eitzer? Why should we work on taking out the klippus? What's the hezbollah further?
Right, you're saying lefi the Magid, the point was tzimtzum b'shvil hagilu. Yes, I have to do the chatzitzura like he says. I have to be mizgaber on the world in order to be heil. Once we're saying this second half of the Baal Shem Tov, or this nekuda of the Mamer that we're saying tzimtzum, so the question becomes, why should there be mizgaber over it? It is what it is. It's a good. Yeah. So kumuven, the word is ochin atokil mistater. I have to see the ato in it. There has to be the take ato. Their zach is ato. For that itself, so I'm not saying how this is going to be useful. It's a yid being stuck with Yisurim and saying, "Das is Eibishter." Now that's in the maskana. If he's still crying with his Yisurim, he hasn't appreciated what the Yisurim are. Yeah? Achin atakel mistater is a psanigen simche. So no bachsidim can singen as anigen. Achin atakel mistater. Take, it's you. The Hester is you. But to be able to, bepashas achsidische yid, the fact that I have a meach gas, yeah, is another way of the Eibusher talking to me. The Eibusher gave it to me. Lass das öfter ein bisschen besser herausbringen. In Aveda, what the Rebbe is, the Hagnech, the Uftu in our Mamer. This Mamer turns the whole Aveda of dealing with Hester into much more pnimistic Aveda. Was heißt? The difference between pnimius and chitzonius is whether I'm fully present in this. Don't tell me that afterwards I'm going to have schar. If you're going to tell me after I have schar, so we're not dealing with this. We're dealing with good results. Don't tell me it's for a better reason. Is this itself? That's a pnimi. Yeah, a pnimi is an atzmi, better said. The hanachas tefillin is for the hanachas tefillin. The vart chassidus is for the vart chassidus. It's not for anything else. So what are these yisurim? Over here, the Rebbe is uncovering that yisurim themselves are something you could experience. Or Hester, sorry, I'm using the word yisurim. Hester itself is something to sit on and say, this is the Eibishter also. This is Yechalta Shalei Lahoi. And Yechalta Shalei Lahoi is Mohim. Wer sagt das mit Afem Nehmen und Eifen von Gilem, kann Nehmen und Eifen von Hester. Aber mit Afem Nehmen, so has to be the Atak. Come on. You have to see that Och in Atak Take du bis the Mistat.
But it's far not the ultimate Gili because the whole point is.
And a yeah, 100%.
So it's not full celebration. I'm saying it's not a final. It's a limited, meaning it's more of an acknowledgement than a celebrating. Celebrating means that you reach your somewhere
right,
the goal.
I've just gotten regards from a part of the Eibishter, which makes no sense that I should have a shaykhis with him. The politic is Amalek Deires only got the Giluyim of the Eibishter. We got the Eibishter himself. Yechalti Shalei Lahor is deeper in him than Yechalti Lahor. So he's shared himself with me. So if I'm getting my father sharing himself with me, his most private, personal, deepest place, and it's painful. So I could look at the pain, or I could say, 1 second, it's him. This is unbelievable that he's sharing himself with me. That's very empowering. That's the Eitzah.
How's even David Melech, like it explains in Chavav Tanya? David Melech was the Misameach with meaning he was excited about the Yisurim. Meaning because that's ultimate Akira. It explained it in the JLI course a couple of years ago. There's 3 shlavim. There's Alma, there's Galia, Alma, there's Kassia, and then there's David. I'm sure the other chasher like Rabbanim here now. And David Melech, because that's ultimate Idvekas in Hashem, meaning the Yisurim was the ultimate Idvekas.
So this is I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it's a similar word. It's a similar in Sechapt in Aveda, very endlich. It's very interesting. This year, Tashin Chav Hei, the Rebbe spoke a lot about this topic. Says already Vav Tishrei, there's a famous the Fabrengen, when the Rebbe came and was told that the Rebbe's mother's not feeling well, and the Rebbe ran out of the mamish, finished the Fabrengen and ran. So during that Fabrengen, there was a Meredike Sicha with the Rebbe was crying a lot. Vanechi Aster Aster, how the Hester betech Hester. It was all about the Indian of Hester, and throughout the year. I mean, this is the Basi Legani, but Balayla Hu Chafhei, which is a Mugdike Mamer, is in Purim, and then V'nocha Chafhei, which is also about the Aveda of Zman HaGolus, the Indian of Netzach. It's, you see, this was like the Mahalach throughout the year. I mean, if it's connected to Vav Tishrei, but this is the Metzias. There was Asara B'Tevis. There was also Geferliche crying by Slichas. It's a famous tape. Lama also Kocha Bamet Sorry. Here the Rebbe. I'm saying this is like Toshen Chafei. The Rebbe Arizke Brach Dezach. Moving in every one of these inyanim in the Sikh of Vav Tishrei and in Balaylahu, it's all a different knech, but it's this emphasis.
She's saying it's a cook. It's not a derech and avodah, meaning it's not a call to action. It's more of a cook of how we're meant to have on Velt. Because the avodah is
maybe let's
like the first
try up. obviously it's supposed to be an Aveda. In other words, it's a Eitzer. It's a Eitzer, which means that it's supposed to be empowering me for Aveda. Maybe one way is I've been given a Meach Gas, yeah? Select sich nicht auf Art Chassidus. This is mamish the dogma of the Frierdiker Rebbe for Hester. Select sich nicht auf Art Chassidus. So one way of looking at it is that while I'm harving in Avart Chassidus, good, the Teitzah is going to be made. Do you have aber a geschmack in the Haravanya itself? In other words, what are you doing now? I'm just stuck. Right now it's just bad. Bishvil Agili. So you're moving me because there's going to be tomorrow. But what happens if I tell you, for the rest of your life, you're going to harava and you're not going to get it? Is there any inyan in that? Haravan of Avart. The symptom itself. So the symptom is, one second, so I'm just stuck. So you should know that right now, dealing with the Hester is in a way the deepest way of connecting with the Eibishter. This is the Eitzer. You're being given connection with the Etzem itself. It's Kumovan only if I see it that way. Yeah, it has to be the Ata. Ochin Ata Kel Mistata. The Hester is that.
Well, there's Beinani and Tanya. I want to cross-reference. Well, there's the Beinani and Tanya. It sounds like all familiar.
Yeah, this word is not brought out in Tanya, as far as I know. But yeah, describing the Beinani struggle. So over here, what we're doing, we're celebrating the struggle.
The Rebbe starts the Siyum, right? The second Sicha. By mir is nicht angedacht, und darf ankommen zu Siyum. There's a line that the Rebbe starts. The first line, the Rebbe says, beginning of second Sicha. He starts the whole Siyum with that concept.
Ja, nicht angedacht, ja.
Dann kommen zu Siyum verbringen. Yeah.
Ja, noch a Sach zu verbringen da. There's a lot to unpack. Aber that's bechlala saying.
Problem is that you can get lost in the Hester and to see a Hester as a Hester.
Oh. So, no, we are supposed to see the Hester as a Hester. We're supposed to see the Hester not as a Gilin, but the Hester is him. The Ata. Fine.
All right.
Ellie, you got a recording, right?
I do, as long as it worked fine.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Ja, und der Iker is should be a Schnassatzlache. Das ist der Iker und to be empowered to deal with all the stadium in a richtige Efen.
Amen.
Ali, happy birthday, Ashkach Yassi. Appreciate it very much.
Tomorrow. Ellie, yeah?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Tonight, yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah,
beautiful.
Take care.